And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching this chaos come out of Port-au-Prince in Haiti. And I'm thinking to myself, it's my second 9/11 moment, you know? I see this devastation, I see a need, and I think to myself, well, I'm actually in a position to go and help. The first time I had this moment, I was a freshman in college, and I didn't take the opportunity, I didn't jump, I didn't act when I should have. And I regretted that, you know, to that day. I regretted not having joined in 2001. So as I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it, I thought to myself, okay, this looks no worse than Fallujah, it looks no worse than Sangin. I can go there and I actually have some of the skills necessary to help. So I got some permission to explore the idea for my girlfriend, who I later married, but to explore it. And I called a couple of organizations and I said, hi, I'm Jake Wood, I'm a two-time combat veteran, you know, combat lifesaver, this, that, and the other thing. I'd love to go down and help your efforts in Port-au-Prince. And they all said, you know, are you a Red Cross volunteer? And I said, no, that's why I'm calling you right now. I'm trying to volunteer. And they said, well, you know, we're not taking spontaneous volunteers. You'd have to go through training. It's going to be a long pipeline. I said, well, we don't have time for that. You know, and they asked me to donate. And I get it. 5 years later, looking back on it, I get it, okay? I would say the same thing to somebody that called me tomorrow if the Haiti earthquake happened. But at the time, I was frustrated. You know, I was a recently separated Marine sergeant. I didn't have any money to donate. All I had were the skills I'd been taught and the experiences that I just had overseas to donate. And so, along with another Marine that I met after the service, we organized initially a team of 8 veterans and doctors. And we went down to Port-au-Prince, and we got there about 4.5 days after the earthquake. We didn't know what we were going to do. You know, truthfully, we knew we had the supplies on our back. We had the willingness to go and help people, and we figured, hey, we'll do this for a week, and we'll come back, and hopefully we've made a difference in somebody's lives. We got down there, and the first day, we went to a internally displaced persons camp, an IDP camp, and there were about 400 people there, and I'd say about 200 of them were critically wounded. I mean, they hadn't seen a doctor yet. I'm talking about people that had limbs shorn off by falling walls, crushed backs. You know, there were women in labor, open cranial fractures. I mean, it was the worst situation imaginable. Infection was starting to set in, and we just got to work. And you know, we did this day after day for about a couple of weeks until my buddy and I looked at each other and we said, you know, all we've been doing is using counterinsurgency principles to deliver humanitarian aid, right? Working with local populations, engaging, you know, the elders and community leaders, using local resources. You know, all of those things that we had learned in Iraq and Afghanistan, that's all we were doing. And so we were getting to these places in Port-au-Prince that other organizations just couldn't or wouldn't go to. And so, even though we had no intention of starting an organization, we thought to ourselves, well, this is interesting. This is the worst humanitarian crisis in the last 100 years. The traditional aid organizations are falling flat on their face. They can't even find their way off the airfield. We're out here, and we're doing really great work, but we're, you know, at this point in time, we've grown to 25 or 30 guys from the original 8, but we're still small. What if we can build an organization that can turn disaster response on its head? What if we could take the 2.5 million vets coming back, provide them with an opportunity to use their skills to do this, and along the way, improve the way we respond to disasters around the world? So in 2010, we started doing that. We called it Team Rubicon. That was the original name we'd given the team of 8 that went down there. We just kept it. We started to recruit primarily out of the special operations community because we were going to places like South Sudan, Burma, Pakistan, you know, all these nasty places in 2010 that we went to respond to natural disasters and humanitarian crises. And what was crazy is over the course of that year, we started to have all these veterans come back and say, you know, this is the most powerful experience I've had since I left the military. And guys would say, I never thought I would ever, you know, teach someone how to do a needle thoracentesis again. I never thought I'd have to, you know, sneak into a foreign country to help people in a time of need again. And the power that they said that had on their well-being, that new sense of purpose that they had, even though they had good jobs elsewhere, they were nurses, or they were firefighters, or they were, you know, contractors of some sort. Their jobs weren't giving them that purpose that they had in their uniform. So we said, okay, how can we expand the program so we can get more veterans more involved more regularly? And we launched our domestic program. So what we're trying to do is bring civilians and veterans together in a mission of disaster response, helping communities in their greatest time of need. We're organized into 10 regions. We've responded to, I think, 30 missions or 30 disasters this year, most of them at home. The last major international operation we ran was Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines. We deployed 83 veterans and doctors. The initial 15 were search and rescue specialists. We were working directly with the Marine Corps MU. They got deployed out of Okinawa, and we were working with the Joint Special Operations Task Force out of Mindanao, running village assessments all across the southern islands. It was an absolutely incredible mission. We were the first foreign search and rescue team on the ground in the Philippines. So we're tapping into an unbelievable resource. 2.5 million veterans coming back, and nobody's challenging them to continue to put those skills to use. So like I said, we've got 20,000 members doing this right now. We've got really, really ambitious plans. We're running a $6 million budget this year. We could, looking at next year, that could expand to as much as $8 to $10 million worth of services. And really, it's been a journey. One of the things that we've really, I think, brought to bear in disaster response is an innovative use of technology. The way we look at it is, the soldiers that we're using in our organization, we're part of the most technologically advanced organization on the planet. When you guys are on the battlefield, you expect a drone overhead giving you a live feed of what it is that's up in front of you. When we face IED threats, we're using signal jammers to defeat it. We have smartphones now in the hands of every squad leader on the battlefield. If you're going to go into a disaster, you're probably going to expect the same level of technological sophistication. And because we're a new organization, we're able to implement these technologies. And I can get into the technologies later that we're using, but these are things that other organizations in disaster response weren't looking at. And so once we started to adopt them, I'll use an example. Who here has used Palantir in their job? Any Intel guys here? All right, so Palantir is this super tech startup out of Silicon Valley. It's an intelligence platform. And Palantir approached us looking to partner, and we first implemented Palantir as our intelligence tool after Hurricane Sandy. And this is when other organizations in the government are still doing everything based off of paper surveys. They go and they assess damage using these paper tablets, and then who knows where the hell those papers go. Lord knows nobody collates them and actually creates an intelligence picture out of it. They literally go in a box in a basement, right? We're running around with smartphones and tablets collecting information in digital waivers that's uploaded to the cloud, and we have tech analysts on GIS platforms that are laying that information out in real time and sharing it with governments. We started getting donations through Facebook. And then what happened was the word spread, right? We were using social media to share the story of what we were doing on the ground. We raised $150,000 in the first 2 weeks of the Haiti earthquake. And so we were paying for all the supplies we needed, all the travel, logistics, all of that. What happened was we spent about $75,000 over the course of 3 weeks, deployed about 55 people down to Port-au-Prince, literally tons of medical supplies getting down there. And when we came back, we had half that money left. And again, William and I had no intention of starting an organization, but here we were, we had an idea, and we had what amounted to seed money. Now, we felt guilty using that seed money because obviously people had given it for the purposes of Haiti. So what we did was we contacted via email every single person that donated to us online, and we said, listen, we only used, I forget what the percentage was, 55% of your money. If you want the unused portion back, we'll give it to you. But if you let us keep it, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build an organization that's going to blah, 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 what we've done. And one person out of about 1,600 donors asked for their money back. So, I think there's a couple of lessons there. One, you have to be able to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. Now, it might sound odd to refer to the Haiti earthquake as an opportunity, but if that's what it was. Two, transparency is everything. Whether you're a for-profit, non-profit company, transparency is absolutely critical. So